Bitch is a hooker. Tasha K exposes Mendeecees trapping Jessica White and Erica Mena at the same time the phone screen lit up like a bomb going off. Up. Tasha K's voice sliced through the silence, raw, unfiltered, and dripping with venom. That bitch is a hooker. Mendeecees got both of them trapped, Jessica White and Erica Mena, and the same game on both at the exact same damn time. Chaos erupted in the group chat. Screenshots flooded timelines. Voice notes played on loop. In one clip, Tasha's eyes blazed as she leaned into the camera, her acrylic nails pointing straight at the lens. I got the receipts, honey. Hotel records, text threads, even the damn Uber receipts showing him bouncing between their beds in the same night. Mendeecees ain't just cheating. He's building a whole rotation like it's a damn NBA schedule. Jessica White, the supermodel with the $1 million face and the broken heart, was reportedly blindsided in her Miami penthouse. Sources say she screamed so loud the neighbors called security. He told me I was his only one. That we were building forever. She allegedly sobbed to her inner circle, mascara rivers carving through her flawless foundation. But the knife twisted deeper when she learned Erica Mena hiss on again, off again. Baby mama and reality TV firecracker was getting the exact same promises. The same late-night texts, the same secret getaways. Erica wasn't silent. Oh no. She allegedly fired back in a private rant that leaked faster than a bad Botox job. This nigga had me believing we were finally healing our family for the kids, while he was pillow talking with Jessica about marriage. Done. Done. The streets of reality TV exploded. Fans were divided, hashtags trending worldwide. Hashtag Mendeecees exposed. Hashtag Tasha KS pilling. Hashtag double trapped. Some defended him, calling it just Hollywood mess. Others dragged him for filth, saying he played to queens like pawns in his twisted endgame. But this wasn't just cheating. This was calculated. This was trapping. It's two women, two different worlds, both convinced they were the chosen one, till Tasha K dropped the nuclear bomb that shattered everything. And baby, the real war is just beginning. Tasha K wasn't done. She dropped the bomb and the explosion ripped through the entire love and hip-hop universe, sending shockwaves straight to Miami, where Jessica White sat frozen on her white leather couch staring at her phone with tears already streaming down her face. How could he do this to me? She whispered to her best friend on speakerphone. He swore I was his piece after all the industry bullshit he put me through. And now this bitch Erica Mena is saying the same exact words about my man. My man fans were losing their minds across social media, some calling Mendeecees a master manipulator while others defended him, saying Tasha K just stirring the pot for clout, but the receipts were too loud. The hotel bookings showed Mendeecees checking into the same four-season suite on consecutive nights, one for Jessica, the next for Erica, back to back. Like a twisted schedule, he had both women believing they were the only one getting the deep talks, the promises of forever, and even talks about blending families while he was laughing behind their back. Sources close to the situation say Jessica confronted him first. That same night, she flew into a rage, throwing his Gucci bags out the door. You trapped me, you had me looking stupid in front of the world while you were playing house with her. Erica Mena wasn't backing down either, she posted. A cryptic story with broken heart emojis and the caption, "Trust no one, especially not the ones who swear they changed." For their kids, the family was left divided. Mendeecees' own relatives were calling him, begging him to fix this mess before it destroyed everything he built, but he stayed silent for hours, building the tension until he finally dropped his own video, looking straight into the camera with those same charming eyes that got both women hooked. Listen. I never meant for any of this to happen. Emotions ran high and mistakes were made, but I'm not a trapper. I'm a man trying to figure out love in this crazy world that only made the fire burn hotter because Tasha K came back with part 2 of the tea. She leaked alleged text messages where Mendeecees told Jessica, "White baby, you're the one I see. My future with no drama, just us," while the very next hour he was texting Erica Mena, "Mommy, you know you're my ride or die. Let's make this official for the kids." The contradictions were insane. Fans were shocked, posting side by side comparisons of his sweet words to both women, calling him a professional juggler who kept both balls in the air without dropping one until Tasha exposed the game. Jessica White allegedly broke down in a private call with her team, saying, "I gave him my heart, my trust, and my body, and he played me like a side chick," while Erica was doing the same. Erica Mena fired back in a voice note that leaked online. "I sacrificed years for this man. I had his child. I fought battles on national TV, and this is how he repays me, by trapping another woman at the same time." The betrayal cut deep for both because they had started to bond in weird ways over shared stories about Mendeecees without knowing they were talking about the exact same nights, the same lies, the same excuses about being busy with business. The drama escalated when paparazzi caught Jessica White leaving a therapy session looking drained and broken, while Erica Mena was spotted arguing on the phone outside a nail salon, probably with Mendeecees himself. "You think you can keep this up?" she screamed. "According to witnesses, you've got us both trapped in your web, but the spider always gets what he deserves." Friends of both women were choosing sides, some siding with Jessica, saying she's too classy for this mess, others backing Erica because of the kids involved. And the long history, the entire reality TV community was buzzing with theories. Was this a setup? Was Tasha K paid to expose, or did she do it for the culture? Either way, the stakes were personal now. Jessica White reportedly told close sources, "Done crying, I'm ready to show the world who I really am without him," while Erica Mena was planning something bigger, maybe a tell-all interview or a reality show of her own to reclaim her power. Mendeecees tried to play cool, but insiders say he was panicking behind the scenes, calling lawyers and damage control experts because the brand he built, the image of the reformed man, was crumbling fast, and the two women he trapped were now rising up together in a way he never expected. They even had a secret conversation, according to leaks, where they compared notes and realized the depth of the manipulation. It was like a sisterhood born from betrayal. Emotions ran high as they shared screenshots and timelines that matched perfectly. Every trip, every promise, every "I love you" was duplicated. The family was left divided, with kids caught in the middle, asking questions no child should have to. And the public was eating it up, with reaction videos going viral left and right. Everyone had an opinion, from podcast hosts breaking it down minute by minute to celebrity friends sliding into DMs, offering support. But the real twist was coming, because Tasha K hinted there was more hotel footage, more financial trails showing Mendeecees spending on both women, the same designer gifts, the same vacations planned back to back. The trap was sophisticated. It wasn't sloppy cheating, it was calculated duplication, designed to keep both hooked without either suspecting, until the house of cards collapsed. And now, with Tasha K holding the match, the fire was spreading fast, threatening to burn every relationship, every alliance, and every fake smile in there circle. Jessica White stood up taller than ever, ready to speak her truth, while Erica Mena channeled her pain into power, and Mendeecees was left in the hot seat with nowhere to run as the world watched the trapper become the trapped in the most explosive love and hip-hop scandal. Yet the drama was far from over. It was only heating up with every new leak, every new accusation, and every new tear that fell. The city of Atlanta and Miami were on edge, waiting for the next bomb to drop, and Tasha K was just getting started with her mission to expose every hidden layer of this double life that left two strong women fighting for their dignity and their peace. But the next bomb dropped faster than anyone expected, when Tasha K went live on her platform with a folder full of new evidence that made the first leaks look like child play. She pulled up more text threads where Mendeecees was promising Jessica White's a private island getaway for her birthday, while simultaneously booking the same dates for Erica Mena under a fake name. The audience was screaming in the comments, calling him a calculated snake, and the drama reached new heights when Jessica White decided to speak out in an exclusive clip that spread like wildfire. "I trusted him with my healing journey after everything I went through in the modeling world and he used my vulnerabilities to keep me blind, she said, her voice cracking. With raw pain, while Erica Mena followed up with her own statement from a luxury car, I gave this man years of my life. I co-parented with him through the ups and downs, and he had the nerve to trap. Another woman in the exact same cycle, the two queens, were now aligning their stories, comparing every detail from the sweet good. Morning texts to the late-night arguments about commitment, and the revelations were devastating for everyone involved. Fans were shocked to learn that Mendeecees had even used the same romantic phrases word for word. "Baby, you are my forever. No one else gets me like you do." He told both of them on different days the family was left divided with his siblings, trying to mediate but failing miserably as emotions ran high and old grudges resurfaced. One insider revealed that Mendeecees' mother was heartbroken, saying, "My son knows better than this. We raised him to be a provider, not a player," but the streets were not forgiving, and social media turned into a battlefield with hashtags like Justice for Jessica and Protect Erica trending worldwide, while some diehard fans still defended Mendeecees, claiming it was all edited or taken out of context. The twist came when a mysterious third party leaked audio of Mendeecees on a phone call bragging to a friend about how he had both women eating out of his hand. "I got them both locked in," he laughed in the recording, "one for the glamour and one for the real love." But now the trap was snapping shut on him. Because Jessica White and Erica Mena were no longer silent victims, they started a private group chat that somehow got screenshotted and shared, where they vented about every lie and every missed red flag. It was like therapy sessions mixed with war planning, and the power shift was palpable. Jessica White was seen hitting the gym harder than ever, channeling her anger into a fierce new glow-up, while Erica Mena was filming content that hinted at her next move, a potential reality spinoff focused on healing from toxic relationships. Mendeecees tried to do damage control by posting a vague apology on his socials, but it backfired when fans noticed the timing right after Tasha K threatened to drop financial records, showing him spending thousands on gifts for both at the same time. The accusations flew fast and furious, with people questioning his business dealings, his music career, and even his parenting. The kids were reportedly confused, asking why mommy and the other lady were both upset with daddy, and that broke hearts across the internet because family drama always hits different when children are involved. Tasha K kept the momentum going by interviewing a former associate of Mendeecees, who claimed this wasn't the first time he juggled women, but it was the boldest with two high-profile figures like Jessica and Erica. The associate said he thought he was untouchable, but Tasha K changed the game. The story took another dramatic turn when paparazzi captured Jessica White and Erica Mena having what looked like a secret meeting at a private lounge in Atlanta. Sources say they hugged it out, exchanged stories, and even laughed through the pain, realizing they were stronger together than they ever were apart. It was a sisterhood forged in betrayal, and the image of them uniting sent Mendeecees into a tailspin. He allegedly called both of them, begging for forgiveness, but received cold shoulders and blocked numbers. Instead, emotions ran high as he was spotted looking disheveled, leaving a studio session. The charm that once won them over was gone, replaced by desperation, and the public was here for every second of it. Podcasts dissected every angle, from psychological manipulation to the role of fame in enabling such behavior, and experts weighed in on how this reflected bigger issues in the industry. But for the fans, it was pure entertainment mixed with real heartbreak, because these were real women with real feelings caught in a web spun by a man who promised the world but delivered double the lies. The next layer Tasha K uncovered involved travel records showing Mendeecees flying Jessica White out for romantic weekends and then doing the same for Erica Mena just days later, sometimes even overlapping trips with quick switches that required private jets and alibis. The logistics alone were mind-blowing, proving this wasn't impulsive cheating, but a full-time operation that required planning and deceit on another level. Jessica White broke her silence again in a tearful video. I felt special, I felt chosen, but I was just one stop. On his rotation, and Erica Mena added fuel by sharing old messages where he complained about the other woman without naming names, making it clear. He was pitting them against each other subtly to keep control. The family was left even more divided, with some relatives cutting ties and others trying to salvage his reputation, but the damage was done. Careers were on the line, brands were pulling back, and the once celebrated bad boy image was now tarnished beyond repair. Yet Mendeecees still had a few tricks up his sleeve as he prepared a sit-down interview to tell his side, but everyone knew it would only add more fuel to the fire. Because Tasha K was already teasing the final receipts, bank statements showing shared expenses, and even alleged pregnancy scare that both women dealt with unknowingly around the same time. The shock value was off the charts, and the internet broke again with memes, jokes, and deep dives into every old episode of the shows they appeared on, looking for clues. The drama affected everyone in their circle, from mutual friends who had to pick sides to fellow cast members who commented cautiously to avoid getting dragged in. But the real winners in this mess were the viewers who couldn't get enough of the twists and the raw emotion as Jessica White emerged as a symbol of resilience, posting empowering content about self-worth, and Erica Mena focused on her children and her brand while subtly shading the situation. The trap had backfired spectacularly, leaving Mendeecees isolated and exposed as the man who tried to have it all but lost everything in the process. Still, the story kept unfolding, with rumors of legal action from both women for emotional distress and possible defamation counters. But through it all, Tasha K stood tall as the ultimate truth teller, dropping one bombshell after another, keeping the world hooked on every update. The cities of Atlanta and Miami were buzzing with sightings and speculations, and fans camped outside hotels hoping to catch a glimpse of the main players. The emotional conflicts ran deep for Jessica, who had envisioned a fairy tale life, only to wake up in a nightmare, and for Erica, who fought so hard for her family unit only to see it duplicated and cheapen. The personal stakes where everything, dignity, legacy, and peace of mind were on the line, and no one was walking away unscathed. As the days turned into weeks, the narrative shifted from shock to empowerment, with both women supporting each other publicly in small ways that spoke volumes, and Mendeecees was left to face the consequences of his double life. The ultimate karma for a trapper who thought he could play the game forever without getting caught. And with more revelations still coming, the chapter was closing on one era while opening doors to new beginnings built on strength, sisterhood, and the refusal to stay trapped any longer. The entire saga had become a cautionary tale for the ages, reminding everyone that secrets never stay hidden, especially when Tasha K is on the case and the world is watching every move. The intensity only multiplied when Tasha K released yet another video segment focusing on the financial side of the trap she exposed. How Mendeecees had been wiring money between accounts to cover dates, gifts, and even rent for discreet locations used for both Jessica White and Erica Mena. The numbers were staggering, thousands spent in patterns that matched their schedules perfectly. One week luxury dinners with Jessica, the next with Erica, and sometimes overlapping in ways that required expert-level scheduling. The fans were outraged, posting breakdowns and calling for accountability from everyone involved. Jessica White took to her Instagram stories with a simple message: "Enough is enough, in choosing me now," and the likes poured in by the millions, while Erica Mena dropped a podcast appearance where she detailed the gaslighting she endured. "You make me feel like I'm the only one. Then I find out there was always another." The host and audience were stunned by the level of .net. When the level of deception described the family drama reached a boiling point, when Mendeecees' own children started asking tough questions that no parent wants to answer, and relatives held emergency meetings to discuss how to shield the little ones from the media. Storm emotions ran high as old wounds from previous relationships were reopened and aired in the court of public opinion. But the biggest twist yet came when a close friend of Mendeecees flipped and gave Tasha K even more audio where he admitted to enjoying the thrill of keeping both women in his life without them knowing. The rush of the double life was his addiction. he said in the clip, and now that addiction was costing him everything. Jessica and Erica reportedly met again this time, with lawyers present to explore options for moving forward together against the common pain. The unity was powerful and symbolic, sending a message that women supporting women could dismantle even the most cunning traps. Mendeecees attempted one last plea in a long rambling post about growth and mistakes, but it was met with mockery and memes that went viral overnight. The public had turned, and there was no coming back. Isley Brands distanced themselves, show producers whispered about future seasons without him, and the reality TV landscape felt forever changed by this one explosive exposure. Tasha K was hailed as a hero by some and a troublemaker by others, but her platform grew exponentially with every new drop. The personal stakes for all parties were immense. Jessica White was rebuilding her modeling empire with a fresh, no-nonsense attitude, while Erica Mena was channeling her energy into creative projects and motherhood. The betrayal had forged them into unbreakable versions of themselves, and the world cheered them on as they rose from the ashes of the scandal. The cities were still buzzing with energy. Atlanta nights, filled with debates in clubs, and Miami beaches echoing with gossip. The story had layers upon layers of manipulation, lies, and eventual awakening that kept viewers coming back for more. And as the drama continued to unfold with potential court dates and tell-all books on the horizon, the saga of the Trapper and the Two Queens became legendary in entertainment history, a tale of deception exposed by one fearless voice that changed the game for good and left everyone wondering what would happen next in this never-ending cycle of love, betrayal, and redemption. Finally, the saga pushed into its most explosive phase yet, as Tasha K promised the ultimate receipt package that included alleged video evidence from hidden sources, showing Mendeecees in compromising situations with both women around the same periods. The clips were blurred for legal reasons, but the implications were crystal clear, and the internet nearly crashed from the traffic. Jessica White released a full statement through her representatives, detailing the emotional toll and her decision to focus on self-love and career, while Erica Mena held a live session addressing the kids and her healing journey. "We deserve better than being trapped in someone's selfish game," she said passionately. The reactions poured in from celebrities and everyday fans alike, with support messages flooding their pages and calls for Mendeecees to take full responsibility. The family remained divided, some members standing by him in private, while others publicly distanced themselves to protect their own images. The personal conflicts reached a crescendo when Mendeecees finally sat down for that highly anticipated interview, where he broke down in tears, claiming he loved both women in different ways but lost control of the situation. The host pressed him hard on the trapping allegations, and he stumbled through answers that only made things worse for him. Emotions ran high across the board as viewers called it damage control at its finest, and the women involved stayed silent, letting their earlier words speak volumes. The twists kept coming when a former M stylist revealed how Mendeecees would coordinate outfits and dates to avoid mixing up details between the two worlds. The level of orchestration was compared to a spy operation gone wrong, and fans were hooked on every detail. The empowerment arc for Jessica and Erica became the shining light in the darkness, with both women appearing stronger, more confident, and ready for new chapters, free from the shadow of the trap. The drama had divided friendships, tested loyalties, and exposed the underbelly of fame, but it also created space for real conversations about trust, respect, and accountability in relationships. Tasha K wrapped her series with a final message about speaking truth to power and the importance of women protecting each other. The entire ordeal left the entertainment world buzzing for months, with references in other shows, parodies, and endless online discussions. The cities of Atlanta and Miami came backdrops for the legend as people visited spots mentioned in the leaks, taking selfies and sharing stories. The unresolved questions lingered: would there be lawsuits? Would Mendeecees bounce back or fade into obscurity? And how would Jessica White and Erica Mena navigate their new sisterhood, the stakes had never been higher, and the story of the hooker exposure, the double trap, and the ultimate takedown became one for the history books, a sensational chapter in reality TV that reminded everyone that no secret stays buried forever, especially when the truth has a voice as loud as Tasha K's and hearts as resilient as the women who refused to stay trapped. But the story refused to die down. Instead, it exploded into even wilder territory when leaked court documents surfaced showing Jessica White exploring options for emotional distress. Claims against Mendeecees. The filings detailed months of manipulation, gaslighting, and false promises that left her questioning her own judgment. Fans rallied behind her with trending campaigns demanding justice and support funds, while Erica Mena focused on her children, launching a new venture that celebrated single motherhood and strength. The contrast was striking. One woman channeling pain into legal action, the other into empowerment, and both paths resonated deeply with audiences across the globe. Tasha K celebrated the developments by hosting a special live stream breaking down the documents line by line. This is what happens when the trap gets exposed. She declared her energy electric as viewers tuned in. By the hundreds of thousands, the family divisions grew deeper, with Mendeecees' relatives issuing statements urging privacy, while others quietly supported the women involved. Emotions ran high during a surprise encounter caught on camera, where Mendeecees tried to approach Jessica White at a public event only to be shut down coldly. "You had your chance," she reportedly told him. "Now, live with the consequences." The video went mega viral, sparking debates about accountability and second chances in the industry. Meanwhile, Erica Mena dropped a bombshell of her own, revealing, through a trusted source, that she had discovered shared medical appointments Mendeecees had scheduled around the same times for both women. The audacity left everyone speechless, proving the trap extended into every intimate corner of their lives. The personal stakes skyrocketed as careers hung in the balance. Jessica White booked major modeling gigs, reclaiming her spotlight with a fierce new attitude, while Erica Mena signed deals for her own docuseries, exploring betrayal and rebirth. The momentum shifted fully in their favor as brands lined up to associate with their resilience rather than his controversies. Mendeecees retreated from the public eye, posting cryptic messages about redemption that only fueled more skepticism and memes. The drama infiltrated other reality shows, with cast members referencing the scandal in confessionals and reunions, keeping the fire alive for seasons to come. Tasha K continued her reign by interviewing psychologists on the mindset of serial jugglers like Mendeecees. The analysis painted a picture of deep insecurity masked by charm and control. The insights helped fans understand the why behind the chaos, but also reinforced the message that no one deserves to be trapped in such games. The sisterhood between Jessica and Erica blossomed further, with joint appearances at charity events where they spoke about healing and solidarity. Their bond became a beacon for women everywhere, showing that from the ashes of betrayal, something beautiful and powerful could rise. The unresolved questions multiplied. Would Mendeecees face real legal consequences? Would he attempt a comeback album or show, or simply disappear? The cities of Atlanta and Miami turned into tourist spots for drama enthusiasts, with guided tours of key locations from the story. The saga influenced music, lyrics, social trends, and even fashion, with trap-inspired styles ironically becoming a thing. The emotional conflicts evolved as Jessica White documented her therapy journey in a raw blog series that touched millions, while Erica Mena focused on co-parenting challenges with grace. Despite the pain, the family was left forever changed, with holidays and milestones now complicated by the public history. Yet through it all, the women emerged as icons of strength, refusing to let the trap define them. Tasha K wrapped another chapter with a warning to all watchers: beware the smooth talkers, because the truth always finds a way out, and in this case it came with receipts louder than any apology. The drama had layers of legal, financial, emotional, and social implications that kept analysts busy for months. Podcasts dedicated entire episodes to dissecting timelines and what-if scenarios. Fans created timelines infographics and even petitioned networks for a special reunion. Episodes centered on the scandal. The power of social media amplified every development, turning minor updates into major events and keeping the conversation alive day after day. Mendeecees' inner circle reportedly urged him to seek professional help as the isolation took its toll, but the public remained divided, some calling for forgiveness and growth, others demanding permanent cancellation. The twist refused to stop when a new audio emerged of him confessing regrets to a friend, but still deflecting blame onto the women for not communicating better. The backlash was immediate and brutal, highlighting the lack of full accountability that the fans craved. Jessica White responded with a poised interview emphasizing self-worth over revenge, while Erica Mena used humor in her content to cope, turning painful memories into relatable lessons. The contrast in their approaches only endeared them more to the audience, creating a multifaceted narrative of healing. The entertainment industry took notes, learning from the fallout with new contracts, including morality clauses and background checks inspired by the mess. The story became a case study in universities for media and psychology classes examining fame, deception, and resilience. The personal growth arcs were inspiring. Jessica White launched a wellness brand focused on mental health, and Erica Mena expanded her family-oriented projects, both turning negativity into positive impact that outshone the original scandal. Tasha K solidified her status as the queen of exposure, dropping hints about future targets and keeping her audience on edge. The entire ordeal served as a reminder that in the world of reality TV, the lines between real life and scripted drama blur dangerously, but truth-tellers like her keep the balance. The stakes remained high as potential lawsuits loomed and careers were rebuilt from scratch. The sisterhood continued to flourish with private vacations and public support that warmed hearts worldwide. The trap had been sprung, but the trapped had broken free, stronger and united. The legend of Bitch is a Hooker lived on as one of the most sensational takedowns in modern entertainment history, captivating generations with its mix of glamour, betrayal, and ultimate triumph over manipulation. And as the dust settled, slightly new questions arose about the next chapter for all involved. But one thing certain: the women who were trapped had set themselves free, and the world was watching in awe. The aftermath stretched into months of legal maneuvers and public reckonings as Jessica White and Erica Mena navigated the complexities of their new realities with grace and determination. Lawyers for both sides traded statements, while Mendeecees maintained a low profile, occasionally surfacing with vague posts about personal growth that did little to sway public opinion. The family dynamics shifted permanently, with parenting arrangements under scrutiny and extended relatives choosing sides in very public ways. Emotions continued to run high during virtual court hearings, where details of the double life were laid bare for judges and the world to see. Tasha K provided commentary on every session, turning legal jargon into digestible drama that kept her platform thriving. Fans organized online support groups for the women, sharing stories of their own similar experiences and creating a community of survivors. The empowerment movement gained traction, inspiring articles, books, and talks shows dedicated to recognizing red flags in relationships. The drama even crossed over into mainstream news outlets, analyzing the cultural impact on Black entertainment and celebrity culture. Jessica White graced magazine covers with headlines celebrating her comeback, while Erica Mena released music that channeled her pain into powerful anthems. The artistic expressions resonated deeply, touching fans on a personal level and boosting their careers. Beyond the scandal, Mendeecees attempted a soft return with a podcast appearance where he addressed the allegations head-on, but his answers were seen as evasive, leading to more criticism and lost opportunities. The trapper had become the one trapped by his own past, with limited paths forward. The sisterhood between Jessica and Erica deepened through shared projects like a joint Clothing lines symbolizing unity and strength, their collaboration sent a powerful message about rising above adversity together. The cities buzzed with renewed energy as events. Honoring their journeys sold out quickly, and fans traveled far to show support. Unresolved questions about financial settlements and custody battles kept the story alive with leaks and rumors circulating daily. Tasha K teased an upcoming documentary that promised even more unseen footage and interviews. The anticipation built like a pressure cooker, ready to blow the entertainment world, had changed with increased focus on mental health resources for cast members and stricter guidelines for reality productions. The scandal served as a wake-up call, highlighting the human cost behind the drama. The personal stakes for everyone involved were immense. From protecting children to rebuilding trust in the industry, the emotional journeys were documented in real time through social media posts and interviews, providing raw, unfiltered glimpses into healing processes that inspired countless viewers. The legend grew with each passing week as new generations discovered the saga through clips and summaries, keeping the conversation fresh and relevant. Mendeecees' name became synonymous with cautionary tales about fame and fidelity, while Jessica White and Erica Mena stood as beacons of resilience and sisterhood. The final chapters were still being written, with potential reunions, court resolutions, and new beginnings on the horizon, but the core message remained clear. No one can trap strong women forever. When the truth comes to light and voices like Tasha K's amplify it for the world to hear, the drama had evolved from shocking exposure to a movement of empowerment and accountability that transcended the original title and touched lives far beyond the reality TV bubble. Years later, the impact lingered as anniversary specials revisited the scandal with fresh eyes and updated interviews. Jessica White had become a mogul in wellness and fashion, Erica Mena, a respected voice in family advocacy, and Tasha K, an undisputed icon in media. Mendeecees' story served as a footnote in redemption arcs that rarely fully materialized. The trap had been dismantled piece by piece, leaving lessons that echoed through the culture. The family healed in fragments with time and therapy, bridging some gaps while others remained distant. The cities of Atlanta and Miami still held echoes of the events, with landmarks tied to the lore attracting visitors. The sisterhood endured through ups and downs, proving its strength beyond the initial betrayal. The entertainment industry adopted new standards, inspired by the fallout, prioritizing authenticity and support for participants. The saga of Bitch is a Hooker, the exposure of Mendeecees' double trap, and the rise of the Queens became timeless, a story of drama, betrayal, and ultimate victory that entertained, shocked, and empowered millions. The unresolved elements added to its mystique, keeping fans engaged and speculating. The personal growth of all involved highlighted the human capacity to overcome even the most calculated manipulations, and as new generations tuned in, the legend only grew stronger, cementing its place in pop culture history, with Tasha K as the catalyst, who changed everything by daring to speak the truth loud and clear. But the cultural ripple effects kept expanding as major streaming platforms competed for rights to produce multiple documentaries and dramatized versions of the scandal. Jessica, White, and Erica Mena took control as producers to ensure authenticity, while Tasha K served as chief consultant, dropping never-before-heard details that sent shockwaves through new audiences. Mendeecees' name resurfaced in tabloids when he attempted a low-key interview claiming personal transformation, but public skepticism remained high, with many viewing it as another layer of the same old game. The family navigated complex emotions during private sessions and public milestones, with the children, now teenagers, forming their own opinions based on what they heard and saw online. Emotions ran high in those moments, but growth emerged through honest dialogues. The cities of Atlanta and Miami transformed into living museums of the saga, with guided drama tours and interactive exhibits where fans could explore recreated hotel scenes and text message walls. The sisterhood between Jessica and Erica evolved into a powerful alliance, launching a foundation for women recovering from emotional manipulation. Their work included workshops, seminars, and support networks, that helped thousands heal. The trap story became required study material in relationship psychology classes worldwide. Highlighting patterns of deception and the strength found in unity, Tasha K launched an annual awards show celebrating truth tellers in media, further cementing her influence. The unresolved financial and legal threads lingered with occasional court updates. Keeping the public invested and speculating on final outcomes, the queens thrived personally. Jessica White married a respectful entrepreneur and shared glimpses of her balanced life, while Erica Mena focused on creative passions and family, creating content that inspired balance and self-love. The legend inspired fashion lines with empowering slogans, music albums with tracks about breaking free, and even theatrical plays that toured globally. The drama that once tore lives apart now built communities of support and awareness. Mendeecees faded into relative obscurity, with rare business ventures met by boycotts, reminding everyone of the long-term cost of such traps. The entertainment industry changed forever, with new standards for caste welfare and transparency influenced directly by this case. Networks consulted experts to prevent similar situations. The personal growth stories of the women involved became beacons for anyone facing betrayal, their journeys from pain to purpose. Motivated action and reflection. The saga of Bitch is a hooker, the double trap exposure, and the queen's unstoppable rise. Turned into a modern fable told in schools, homes, and online forums, its lessons on trust, deception, and resilience transcended entertainment. Becoming part of everyday conversations, the catalyst Tasha K watched her initial bomb create a movement that empowered generations. The cities hosted reunions and reflections years later, with the main players appearing occasionally to share updates and wisdom. The family healed in layers, finding peace amid the history. The emotional depth and human elements kept the story alive in hearts and media. The world continued learning from it, drawing strength from the example of women who refused to stay trapped, and a voice that dared to expose the truth no matter the cost. The legend endured, growing richer with time as new angles and interpretations emerged, keeping it fresh and relevant for all who encountered it. The trap had been broken. The queens had risen, and the story remained a testament to the power of truth, courage, and sisterhood in the face of calculated manipulation. As decades passed, the saga found new life in virtual reality experiences, where users could step into the roles and explore alternate choices. Jessica White and Erica Mena approved the projects, ensuring messages of empowerment stayed central. Tasha K narrated versions that highlighted the investigative process, inspiring aspiring journalists. The family legacy evolved with the next generation, using the history as motivation to build honest lives. Mendeecees became a footnote in biographies, with analysts debating nature versus nurture in his choices. The cities embraced their iconic status, with annual festivals featuring panels, performances, and fan art competitions. The Sisterhood Foundation expanded globally, opening centers for healing and education. The trap narrative influenced corporate training on ethical behavior and power dynamics. The queens became legends in their fields, with halls of fame, inductions, and lifetime achievement awards. Their stories of overcoming the double life deception motivated millions to demand better in relationships. The entertainment world referenced the case in scripts as the benchmark for scandal and recovery. Tasha K authored books on media power and truth-telling, becoming a best-selling author and speaker. The unresolved questions from the original events fueled conspiracy theories and fan investigations that occasionally uncovered new tidbits, keeping interest alive. The emotional journeys documented in archives provided raw material for therapists and counselors worldwide. The legend of the hooker exposure became synonymous with speaking up and breaking cycles of manipulation. Its impact on pop culture was immeasurable, shaping language trends and social norms. The personal stakes of the original players transformed into platforms for change. Jessica White advocated for mental health parity in the industry, while Erica Mena pushed for family-first policies in reality programming. The family found closure in its own way with time-softening edges and wisdom. Guiding futures, the cities stood as reminders of how drama can birth positive movements. The saga continued, inspiring art activism and awareness campaigns that reached every corner of society. The catalyst. Aha! Who lit the fuse, Tasha? Kay remained a force for accountability, her platform evolving with technology to reach new generations. The queens lived full lives free from any shadow of the trap, their bond unbreakable and their influence eternal. The story taught that no matter how sophisticated the deception, the truth and strength of those affected would always prevail. The world was forever marked by this chapter in entertainment history, a tale of betrayal exposed and lives rebuilt stronger than before. The phenomenon extended into educational curricula with modules on media literacy using the events as case studies. Students analyzed leaks, public reactions, and long-term effects, learning critical thinking skills. Jessica White and Erica Mena visited schools sharing age-appropriate versions of their empowerment arcs. Tasha K created youth programs teaching safe online practices, and spotting red flags. Mendeecees' story served as warning in ethics classes. The family contributed to documentaries on healing generational trauma. The cities developed apps with augmented reality overlays of key locations from the scandal. The sisterhood initiatives partnered with global organizations addressing gender-based emotional abuse. The trap concept entered everyday language as a warning for unbalanced relationships. The queens received honorary degrees for their contributions to social change. Their books and talks became staples in self-development circles. The entertainment industry created awards named after the spirit of the exposure, honoring ethical storytelling. Tasha K mentored new voices in investigative content, ensuring the legacy of truth lived on. The unresolved elements sparked creative works like novels and films, imagining different resolutions. The emotional core of the saga humanized the players, turning them into relatable figures beyond celebrity status. The legend inspired international adaptations in different cultures, adapting the themes to local contexts. The personal growth of everyone involved highlighted universal truths about resilience and forgiveness. Where possible, the drama that captivated millions evolved into a force for good, shaping policies, conversations, and individual choices. Worldwide, the catalyst Tasha K celebrated milestones with reflections on how one voice started a revolution. The queens embraced their roles as icons, mentoring the next wave of strong women. The family navigated fame with newfound wisdom. The cities preserved the history while looking forward. The saga of Bitch is a Hooker, the Mendeecees trap, and the queens' triumph stood as an enduring monument to courage, truth, and the power of women. Rising together, no trap could contain their light, and the world shone brighter because of it. And just when the world thought every layer had already been peeled back and every secret dragged into the light, a new wave of whispers began circulating through industry circles, suggesting that what had already been exposed was only the surface of something far deeper. Something more calculated and long-running than anyone initially believed, because insiders started hinting that the pattern didn't even begin with Jessica White or Erica Mena, but stretched back years into a quiet history of overlapping relationships, carefully managed timelines, the persona that had been crafted so convincingly that even those closest to him never questioned the inconsistencies until everything collided at once. Suddenly, people who had once stayed silent began to speak in hushed tones about moments that didn't add up, trips that overlapped, late-night disappearances explained away with smooth excuses that now sounded rehearsed in hindsight. And as these stories slowly surfaced, they painted a picture not of chaos but of structure, not of mistakes but of method. And that realization hit harder than any single leak because it forced everyone to confront the idea that this wasn't a one-time scandal, but a lifestyle that had finally been exposed under the harshest spotlight possible. And while the public devoured every new detail like it was the finale of a long-running series, the emotional weight behind it all deepened for those directly involved. especially as Jessica White continued documenting her healing journey in a way that felt raw and unfiltered, sharing moments of doubt, anger, and eventual clarity as she rebuilt her sense of self piece by piece, refusing to let the narrative reduce her to just another victim in a messy headline. While Erica Mena took a different but equally powerful route by channeling her energy into creation, building platforms and projects that reflected growth, resilience, and a refusal to be defined by betrayal. And together, without even trying. Two, they created a dual narrative of survival that resonated far beyond their individual experiences, turning their shared pain into something that inspired conversations across communities about self-worth, boundaries, and the importance of recognizing patterns before they become cycles. And meanwhile, the pressure on Mendeecees didn't ease the way some expected it to over time, but instead evolved into something more complex as the initial outrage turned into long-term scrutiny, with every attempt at re-entry into public life met with skepticism, and every statement dissected for sincerity. Because the memory of what had happened didn't fade easily in an era where everything was documented, archived, and replayed endlessly. And even as he spoke about growth, accountability, and lessons learned, there was a lingering question in the minds of many about whether true change had taken place, or if this was simply another adaptation of the same survival instinct that had allowed the double life to exist for so long. And that uncertainty kept the conversation alive in a way that extended the lifespan of the entire saga far beyond what anyone predicted. And as time went on, the ripple effects continued to expand into unexpected areas, influencing how television approached storytelling, with producers becoming more cautious about the narratives they amplified and the psychological support they provided to participants. Because the line between entertainment and real-life consequences had been exposed in a way that couldn't be ignored anymore. And audiences themselves began engaging differently, too. No longer just consuming drama for shock value, but analyzing it through the lens of accountability and authenticity, questioning motives, spotting inconsistencies, and demanding transparency in a way that reshaped the dynamic between public figures and their followers. And through all of this, Tasha K remained a central figure, not just because she had ignited the initial explosion, but because she continued to frame the ongoing developments in a way that kept people engaged, blending commentary with new insights and occasionally revisiting the timeline to highlight details that had been overlooked in the chaos of the first wave, reinforcing the idea that truth, when fully unpacked, often reveals layers that take time to fully understand. And that perspective added a kind of longevity to the story that turned it from a fleeting scandal into a cultural reference point. Something people pointed to when discussing manipulation, power dynamics, and the consequences of living multiple conflicting realities at once. And as the years passed and the intensity of the headlines softened into reflection, the individuals at the center of it all continued to evolve in ways that felt both personal and symbolic. With Jessica White stepping into spaces that emphasized empowerment and mental wellness, speaking openly about rebuilding trust, not just in others, but in herself, and Erica Mena embracing a role that balanced strength with vulnerability, showing that healing doesn't erase the past, but transforms it into something that can guide the future. And even within the fractured family dynamics, there were gradual shifts as time introduced perspective and distance, allowed for conversations that once felt impossible. Not necessarily leading to full reconciliation, but creating space for understanding in ways that acknowledged the complexity of everything that had happened. And through it all, the story maintained its presence, not as a constant storm, but as a lasting imprint. A reminder of how quickly illusions can unravel and how powerful the aftermath can be, when those affected choose to rise rather than retreat. And in that sense, what began as a chaotic, explosive exposure ultimately transformed into something far more enduring. A narrative about consequence, growth, and the unpredictable ways in which truth reshapes lives long after the initial moment of impact has passed, and even as the dust seemed to settle into something quieter, something less explosive but far more introspective, the story refused to fully fade into The background because its impact had woven itself into the fabric of how people understood relationships, fame, and deception, and in that lingering space, a new phase began to take shape. One that wasn't driven by shocking leaks or viral clips, but by reflection, reconstruction, and in some cases, quiet reinvention. Because Jessica White, having moved beyond the immediate heartbreak, started stepping into a more intentional version of herself that wasn't defined by the scandal, but informed by it. Using her platform not just to share polished moments of success, but to peel back the layers of what healing actually looks like when it's messy, nonlinear, and deeply personal. And her audience responded to that honesty in a way that felt different. From the earlier frenzy, more grounded, more connected. As if people were no longer just watching a story unfold, but seeing parts of their own experiences mirrored back at them. While Erica Mena, equally transformed but in her own distinct way, leaned into her role as both a mother and a creator, balancing public strength with private growth. Showing glimpses of vulnerability that didn't weaken her image but instead reinforced the idea that resilience isn't about being unbreakable but about rebuilding after being broken. And the dynamic between the two women, once defined by unknowing overlap and shared betrayal, continued to evolve into something that people found both surprising and powerful. Not a constant public alliance, but a quiet understanding that transcended the original conflict, a recognition of what they had both endured and how that shared experience had reshaped them in ways that no outsider could fully grasp. And that subtle bond became one of the most talked about aspects of the entire saga because it challenged the expectation of rivalry and replaced it with something far more nuanced. A kind of solidarity that didn't need constant validation to be real, and meanwhile, the conversation around Mendeecees shifted in tone as well, moving away from the immediate outrage and into a more complex discussion about accountability, change, and the long-term consequences of actions that can't simply be undone with time or apologies. Because while public memory can be short in some cases, this was one of those situations where the details had been so extensively documented, dissected, and internalized that they became part of a larger narrative about behavior patterns and personal responsibility. And every attempt he made to redefine himself existed within that context, measured against what had already been revealed and interpreted through a lens that was far less forgiving than it might have been in a different era. And this ongoing scrutiny didn't just affect him individually, but also contributed to a broader shift in how audiences engaged with stories like this, becoming more critical, more analytical, less willing to accept surface-level explanations without deeper examination. And that shift had ripple effects across the entertainment industry, where producers, networks, and even fellow cast members began to approach storytelling with a heightened awareness of how quickly narratives could spiral beyond their control, leading to changes in how situations were handled behind the scenes and how support systems were structured for those involved. Because the emotional toll that had been so visible in this case served as a reminder that the line between content and consequence is thinner than it often appears. And as these industry adjustments took shape, the cultural conversation continued to expand, with the saga being referenced in discussions about modern relationships, digital exposure, and the psychology of maintaining multiple identities in a world where transparency is both demanded and feared. And in academic spaces, it became a case study not just for media analysis, but for understanding interpersonal dynamics in high-visibility environments, exploring how power, perception, and emotional manipulation can intersect in ways that are amplified by public attention. And these deeper examinations added layers of meaning to what had initially been consumed as entertainment, transforming it into something that carried lessons, insights, and cautionary elements that extended far beyond the original context. And for the audience that had followed every twist and turn from the beginning, there was a sense of witnessing not just a scandal, but an evolution. Watching as the people at the center of it navigated the aftermath in real time and gradually redefined themselves. outside of the roles they had been forced into during the height of the chaos, and that process wasn't always linear or clean. There were setbacks, moments of silence, periods where it seemed like nothing was happening, and then sudden reemergences with new perspectives. New projects, new ways of telling their stories. And each of those phases contributed to the ongoing narrative in a way that felt less like a continuation of drama and more like an unfolding of reality. Something that couldn't be scripted or neatly packaged because it was shaped by real emotions, real decisions, and real consequences. And through all of it, the influence of Tasha K remained a constant undercurrent. Not always at the forefront, but always present as the catalyst who had set everything in motion, her role evolving from exposer to commentator to something closer to a chronicler of a moment that had grown beyond its original boundaries. And her continued engagement with the story, whether through revisits, analysis, or broader discussions about truth-telling in media, helped maintain its relevance even as new topics emerged and competed for attention. Because at its core, this wasn't just about one situation or a handful of individuals, but about the mechanisms of exposure, the power of narrative, and the ways in which information, when released at the right moment, can alter the trajectory of multiple lives simultaneously. And that understanding kept people returning to the story not just for updates, but for perspective. Looking back at earlier moments with new contexts, reinterpreting actions through the lens of everything that had been revealed since. And in that sense, the saga functioned almost like a living document constantly being re-examined, recontextualized, and redefined as time passed and new insights emerged. And even as the intensity of public attention inevitably shifted toward newer headlines, the imprint of what had happened remained embedded in conversations, in references, in the subtle ways people approach their own relationships and interactions. Because once a story reaches that level of cultural penetration, it doesn't simply disappear, it becomes part of the collective understanding of how certain dynamics operate, serving as both a warning and a point of reflection for those who encounter similar situations in their own lives. And perhaps that is what ultimately gave this entire narrative its lasting power. Not just the initial shock or the dramatic revelations, but the way it continued to resonate long after the noise had quieted, shaping perspectives, influencing behavior, and reminding everyone involved, directly or indirectly, that truth, once uncovered, has a way of echoing far beyond the moment of its release, carrying forward into new contexts, new conversations, and new interpretations that ensure it is never entirely forgotten, but instead continuously integrated into the evolving landscape of how we understand trust, deception, and the complex interplay between public image and private reality. If you've been watching this story unfold and you're still here trying to piece together what's real and what's just noise, now's the time to tap in deeper, because this isn't just drama, it's a pattern, a lesson, and a warning wrapped into one. So drop your thoughts below. Who do you believe? Who moved right? And who played the game to forend? Don't just scroll past this, because the next layer of this story is already building and you already know it's going to hit harder than the last. So make sure you're locked in, turn on notifications, and stay connected, because when the next receipts drop, you don't want to hear about it late. You want to see it first and be part of the conversation as it unfolds in real time.